Good afternoon, traders, and welcome to this week's weekly market analysis class, Monday the 2nd of July. Before we get started, as always, please understand that any advice in today's session is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration. Okay, let's bring up the major news releases due out this week. A quick recap of last week as I post this up for you so that you can see. Last week was a week that ended nearly at the same levels that where it started. We saw the pattern of strong US currency for the first half, even up to the Thursday of the week, dominating against all the crosses. And then Friday was a reversal day, largely on the back of the trade wars that are starting to come out. Canada has now jumped into the battle or the equation, shall we say, and they've introduced tariffs against the US, basically in retaliation over tariffs that the US is imposing on Canadian products into their country. So there's a lot of things that are happening at the moment. In the meantime, oil was the best mover of the week. It moved a significant amount, all one direction, all moving in the upward direction. At the same time, whilst gold, along with the commodity currencies, dropped in value. And that was pretty much the highlights of the week. There was really not a lot of data last week, or not real significant data that was due out. This week being the first week of the month. Traditionally, the first week of the month is one that has the most data. So we'll get started straight away and we'll kick off with the US dollar. And we have manufacturing numbers, which start from tomorrow. Then on the Thursday, we have the private sector employment numbers. And then on the Friday, I've highlighted here in red, are non-farm payroll numbers, which are due. For those of you who've never don't know what non-farm payroll numbers are, they are probably the most volatile raw number data releases that the currency markets has. It's the job numbers, the average hourly earnings, and the employment rate for the US. That happens on the first Friday of the month, and it happens this Friday, July 6th at 10:30 that evening. So that's the US. Please take note of those so that you do not get caught in any trades that you don't want to be part of. Looking at our local Australian dollar, we have the Rba Rate Statement, which is due out tomorrow. There is no expected change on the horizon, but the statement, the last minutes of the statement, there was a little bit of a backtrack in which they had originally said that the next movement in rates would be up rather than down. At the last minutes released, they basically went back on that and saying that they don't know which direction it's going to go. So that really leaves it open. Let's see what they say in the statement. We don't expect the interest rates to move tomorrow, but let's see what their statement says. Should they give us an indication in either direction, and how that pans out for us. So that's the RBA statement. And then on the Wednesday, we have retail sales and the trade balance numbers, which are due. From the UK, we kick off tonight at 6:30. We have PMI data this week. We have the manufacturing numbers today and the services PMI on the Wednesday. Also, we have Governor Carney speaking on the Thursday evening. Finally, for the Canadian dollar on the Friday, they have their employment change, trade balance, and unemployment rates coming out all at 10:30. And if there's anybody out there that actually trades the US CAD, Friday, 10:30, it's probably the most volatile time that you could be trading the US CAD. As you can see, you've got non-farm payroll and the Canadian employment rate numbers along with their trade balance all coming out simultaneously at 10:30. So that could be a very wild ride. Please make sure that you are aware of that, especially if you're trading the US CAD. I think this week, due to the nature of data that is coming out, the currency that's probably going to be affected the most will be the Australian US dollar. due to our RBA statements, retail sales, and of course non-farm payrolls on the other side of the equation. The times that I'm showing you are in my local time, which is Australian Eastern Standard Time, so please take note of those so that we don't get caught up in anything that we do not want to be caught in. All right, let me bring my charts forward. If you have any questions at this point that you've collected throughout the week, type them in. And let's get going. We'll kick off with the Aussie dollar. And let me gather my thoughts. Okay, Aussie dollar. So, incidentally, there was an Aussie dollar trade which I took on Friday, daily call, which I am still in that trade. Let me show it to you. So basically, we had this potential bottom. This is a line that we drew a while back on Friday. Finally, the market came to meet us. And if you can see over here, we had two really nice candles, inside candle, classic pattern. I did post it up before we triggered, and we triggered there. Our stop would have been there. You've hit your first target about there, so T1 is done and dusted, and right now we're probably chasing T2, which is around about that level there. Okay, can I just get a show of hands who took this trade, and if you did, who is still in this trade? Because if you're trading it the way that I have been doing it in the daily call, you should be in this trade. Can I get a show of hands? There's quite a few people in the room. I just want to see who's in. Is anybody newer in the room? Please, if you haven't taken the trade, just please type in an N for no, just so that I know that you're with me, you're listening. It makes the class more interactive for me, so that I know that I'm not speaking to myself. So can I just get a show of hands, yes or no? I won't go forward until I get everybody to respond. Okay, wow, not one person took it. Guys, trades don't come clearer than that. Like if you are trading that particular method, that's as clear as it gets. Remember, we're trading probabilities and we're trying to seek out trades that will give us the highest probability, and that's definitely defined as one of those. So this week for the Aussie dollar, well then I'm not doing anything because I'm still in and I'm still chasing that second target. So either what's going to happen, let me just zoom in a little bit more, I may get stopped out. So the way that I've been trading the daily call, if I entered at that level there, my original stop is there. Once my first target gets hit, I move my stop to that level, okay? So that if I get stopped out on half of the trade, I will make 0, but on the other half of the trade, I've made T1. But what I'm really hoping is that it pushes along up to there, which is my T2 level. Now, just so that you understand how I'm getting these levels, basically the break of that candle is the entry. So to the bottom of this candle, that's about 38 pips. So let's say that stop was about 40, 42. That it got as high as 48, 49. So you definitely hit that target, and now you're just chasing the second method. Question. I'm not understanding the question, Paul. It's failed 2 dBs and trend down. Okay, so I think I know what you mean. Last week, okay, if I count back, that's Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, we were here. This was the candle last week, that red one there. And you can see clearly that I've got this square still on my chart. All right, and I was saying we were over here somewhere, where I've got that mark. That's where we were when I did last week's class. If you go back and look at the video, we were probably somewhere in that candle there. Okay, I drew this square saying that the kind of trade that I would be interested in is come up to here, find something, and then hit the trade in that direction. Okay, now it didn't go further, and actually when I look at it, if I analyze these two candles, that is also an inside candle to continue in this direction. So, is anybody in this trade? Did anybody take this trade? Because that trade also hit the first target. Because you would have entered right there, your stop is right there, and over here you've actually hit T1 in the downward direction. Can I get a show of hands? Who is in this trade? Or who took this trade? If you took this one, you would have hit your first target, and then your second target would have got stopped out over here for 0. Okay? No one? Did anybody take this one? This is the one that I would have been. It wasn't ready yet last Monday, but this is the one that I was talking about to continue with the trade as such. Okay, so it didn't go up enough, but when it produced this candle, okay, let's ignore the green one. Let's ignore these two candles here. Let's pretend they don't exist yet. When it produced this little inside candle setup, and when I zoom out, and I noticed that we were right there, and we were right there, right on the money. At that point, basically, it was worth the probability to trade a bounce trade. And hence, that's why on the Friday video, I put the video out. When I put the video out, give me 1 second. Let me just get these details here so everybody can see. Where's my Friday video? 1 moment. Okay, so on the Friday video, I produced this chart. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. How do I move it over? Oh, give me 1 second. I'll do it over here. I produced this chart over here. That was the chart for Friday. Okay, and I'm showing you the direction. That's the zoomed out version. And then I also showed you that exactly, and you can see when I did the video where the candle was. Basically, I highlighted exactly what the trade should be. And I made that decision based on the fact of this double bottom. Okay, Paul, so does that answer the question? I understand you may feel that it's going in a downtrend and you have a legitimate point, but this is a significant point, and that's why I've called it as such. And as you can see, I definitely called it before it happened, so it wasn't a fudged result as what I'm trying to say. Okay, so but I do understand that some of you may have also taken that short earlier, so but no one's said that they have, so basically nobody took anything on the Aussie US dollar last week. All right, so this week I'm still long, so I have to wait it out. If this level, if it doesn't kick on, okay, so what if I hit my second target, which will be up there somewhere, and kicks on and breaks that high, then we could maybe see this happening, okay? However, if that does not happen and this candle now just breaks straight through here, well then now we could open up further in that direction. In any case, this is just speculation and this is not proof, so it's not a reason to take a trade. So the trade that I have right now is Friday's trade, and I'm just going to have to sit it out until that finishes, and after that we'll assess what's next. Okay, so we leave that one alone, and I'll remove this little box because it's not going to help me in any direction now. Euro USD, let's have a look. Oh, I actually like this pattern, Euro USD. This is that bouncy ball kind of pattern that I like, which comes down, hits the floor or the table, bounces, it's bouncing, and then it could just fall. So if you imagine there's a table here, this is how I remember this pattern. Imagine there's a table there, the ball bounces, and then falls off the edge of the table. Okay, so it's doing it. We could actually have a trade tomorrow. I know we're inside that area that I felt is congestion, but let me just get rid of that now. And I could redraw it as triangle for you. Let me just thicken up this line. I could draw it as such. And the trade, let me zoom in a bit more. And the trade that I'm interested in is here. Those two candles right there. The green one has a higher high than the red one, which basically means if it finishes exactly as it is, tomorrow there will be a fractal there. This would be an inside candle, and at the break of that candle, we can take that trade as such. Okay, so this is the Euro USD, and on the positive side, if you do take it, depending how this candle ends up finishing, I believe T1 could possibly be roughly on this line, and if it breaks that line, it should accelerate quickly and hit your T2 target quite easily. That's the theory, and on the probability side, that's the highest probable outcome. But we need to wait to see if it does finish as an inside candle, and we may get the opportunity for this one tomorrow. So has everybody noted that? That is the Euro USD. That's a daily timescale. And what we're looking at is these two candles over here. Will they produce an inside candle for us? If they do, then we can place our pending order on the breakdown and basically try and take advantage of that trade. Okay, I'll move on. US yen. It's huffing and puffing, the US yen. The US is sort of running a little bit out of steam, but I'm still going to wait for it over here. This is the area that I'm interested. If we get there, can it produce a nice inside candle, a nice price action reversal pattern to give us the best opportunity to short at that level? And why am I choosing that line? Let me zoom out and I'll show you. You can see it's a channel, and I'm waiting for the market to come up to that channel to give me that opportunity. So I don't really need a little gray area here because this is straightforward, but I'll put one in anyway. That's what I'm waiting for, and I'll continue to wait. At the moment where it currently is, I'm not interested in doing anything until we get to that area, if it gets to that area. All right. Okay, let's move it along. Let's have a look at the US CAD. Okay, you can see I'm right in that grey area. That means last week we were Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. So we were over here somewhere last week, and I said, let's wait for the pullback somewhere in here, and let's see if we can hit that trade as such. Well, guess what? We're in that area right now, so let's zoom in, and it's looking really nice. Those two candles right now, if they were complete and they finished, that is an inside candle. I would place an order at the break in that direction. So what we need to do is wait for this little green one to finish. So tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. it will be finished. If it's still an inside candle, you can place your pending order at the break and it's ready to go. And the reason for this trade would be just continuation of the trend, and the trend is pretty obvious. It's going up as such. Any questions on the US CAD? A lot of things are setting up for us. That's really nice. Let's move along. No questions. Oh, question. Do I look for news? What are my targets? Okay, let me go back. Yes. Okay. Do I look for news? First question. The answer is look. When I trade, I'm probably about 90% technical, 10% fundamental. So what I mean by that, if I am aware of something geopolitical or something significant that is happening on a macro level from a fundamental point of view, well, then I try and find the trades that support the same direction of that news. Okay, but in terms of just straight out data release, like a news releases, like a non-farm payrolls or like retail sales or things like that, I generally just ride that through. I ignore it. Now, and the reason for that is because I'm trading on a daily time frame, and my trades are a little bit longer term. My average trade is lasting in the market anywhere between 1 day up to, say, 7 days. If I was trading off a 5-minute chart, for example, and I'm coming into non-farm payroll news, well, then that is significant. I probably would not enter the trade until the news comes out, and so I'm not affected by it. So to answer your question, the way that I'm trading the daily call and the way that I'm trading on a Monday is that I do not worry about news events. I just place a trade, and if the news helps me, great, and if the news doesn't help me, that's just unlucky, and I'm playing the probabilities. Okay, does that answer that question, Sam? The other question was, Chris is asking me, what are my targets? Okay, what I recommend, Chris, is go and watch videos, the price action videos. I think it's strategy 3, 4, and 5. But essentially, in quick summary, let's say that this was the setup. Let's say that those candles have just finished and we're ready to go. So the way that you would trade this is you place a pending order on the maybe 2 to 3 pips breaking the high of the inside candle, and note that if the new candle, which is over here somewhere, breaks downwards and it breaks the bottom, well, then you got to go and cancel out that pending order, the buy. It's a buy pending order, buy stop. Okay, so if you break in the wrong direction, you must go back and cancel out that order because it's no longer valid. So on the assumption that that's my entry, that this is my entry, okay, because that's the break, you place your stop. When I work with a daily chart, I'm placing my stop about 5 pips below the lowest of the 2 candles, which is down here. So let's say that area there. Now this distance is my stop distance, and then what I do is the same distance I go up, and that's T1, and then I go the same distance up again, and that's T2. Now this is personal and whatever you like out of it, but the only part that I say is the stop must be at that. That's the technically correct place to place your stop. Okay. When you're trading in trend, if you've got the stomach for it, you can go for 3 to 1. All right. It's because you're in trend. It's up to yourself what you like, but just so that you know, in the daily call, the trades that I do on the daily call, what I'm doing there is I'm placing the stop as I'm showing you right here. When the trade reaches T1, okay, at T1 I'm closing 50% of the trade, okay, and I am moving my stop to break even. Okay, in other words, I grab this one and I push it to where I've entered. So if the trade then comes back and stops me out, T2, if I get stopped out, will make 0, or T2 can make the 2 to 1 level. All right, and the reason that I do this for you guys, because I understand that newer traders, psychologically, we need to have more wins than losses. Otherwise we get deterred and we panic too much in trading. In my personal trading, I don't move it at all. I just go for T2 straight out. End of story. Okay, but it's up to yourself what you like to do. From a psychological point of view, do it this way. Doing it this way allows you to collect some profit. You get the feel-good factor, and it's protecting something along the way. Okay, and also you can program your MT4 Supreme to do it for you automatically, so you don't even have to watch. All right, and there's a video there as well that shows you how to set it up if that's what you would like to do. Okay, so that's those 2 questions. GBP USD, let's jump along. Okay, GBP USD, I can see the little box over here. There was no setups there to take advantage of that drop. Unfortunately, it bounced. Now let me just zoom out a little bit. Now it bounced on Friday off that level, which coincides with this as well. However, there was no price actions candle patterns there. So when I look at this one's a little bit up in the air. This one, we're not going to do nothing this week, okay? What I'd like to see happen is I'd like to see it break that high. Once it breaks that high, it may come back, test it there, and then may give us a little bit of a recovery. But that's just speculation. I need to see some evidence before I would be looking for that. So this week, GBP USD, there's nothing on the table right now. I'm just going to sit and watch. Okay? We don't participate on this one. Kiwi dollar. There we go. Kiwi dollar broke. It broke the level. You can see it broke it. So when we break a level like this, let me zoom out, then you can see that the level is quite significant. I could even extend this line across a little bit more. The level is significant. So what can happen sometimes, this can break down, it can come back up, test that line, and then continue down. Okay, so what we're going to look for is we're going to look to see if we can get some kind of price action there so that we can hit it back and continue in the downward direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my little gray box and I'm going to put it over here somewhere. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the market to get towards that line, which previously acted as support, and hopefully now it acts as resistance, and then we can continue the downtrend of the market and hopefully pick up a nice trade off that level. Okay, so that's our Kiwi US dollar. Okay, let's go to WTI. WTI was the big mover for the week. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can see that it was a lot in one direction. It featured in one of my daily calls. I believe I was looking for that double top, but it didn't happen. And this is, let me zoom in. If you have a, I'll take this out now because I don't need it. And if you have a look, this candle here, the one that I'm pointing at right now, this candle, if you just traded a short because you're at that level for no other reason than just you're at that level, you would have been stopped out on this trade. So this candle that I'm pointing at, what we were looking for is we were looking for that candle to remain as like an inside candle like this, something like that. So then we could take the trade off that. However, since that candle broke the high, it just basically meant that that trade is completely off the chart. So we're not even interested in that short. And on top of that, I can now get rid of this line because it's not a double top at all. All right, so now let's reanalyze and let's have a look. And as Paul has mentioned, definitely we are in an upward trend. Let me just try and join those three tops. Let's have a look. Can I join them? Oh, nearly. I'm nearly there. Okay. Let me just very, very close. Okay, let me see if that's if they're parallel. Give me 1 second. I just want to double check something. It's pretty close. Can I fudge it? I think I can just squeeze them in. Okay. It at first glance, it didn't look to me like it was a channel. In any case, I'm going to be working off the top line. So what I'm interested in is that we've got one touch there. I've got a second touch there. I'm looking now in here for price action to justify a short. Okay. Chris, yes, I was trying to make a channel. It doesn't look like typically I would like my channel to, sorry, let me just try and draw this again. So let's say I've got a channel here. I want it to swing nicely. So when I've got 1, 2 at the bottom, 1, 2 at the top, so then when it comes down to here, that's when I'm looking to take that trade in that direction. But notice how they're quite symmetrical. This one doesn't look symmetrical. It's kind of looking almost like a you can see that there's not super amount of symmetry. In any case, forget about the channel. Nevertheless, it is a channel, not the prettiest one, but I'm interested in the top line. Okay, and my trade, I'm looking for something here. I'm looking for price action right now to see if I can take advantage. So add this to your radar, to your hot list. Let's see if we can get it. Today's candle's already broken lower, so that means we cannot get an inside candle. But what I get the feeling is this candle might go a little bit higher, like this, say, and then it's with a tail, and then tomorrow we may get something like this, and then the next day could be the trade that we're after. All right, so that's WTI. Just add it in to that hot list, and let's see if we can get something out of it. Okay, gold. Let's have a look at gold. All right, now last week I know I'm very zoomed out here, but I drew this line, touching here, extending it through. Then I also picked up this line to here as a double bottom, possibly. And this week, zoom in, we are getting very, very close to those levels. All right, so we're very, very close. We're not there yet, but in here somewhere, I'm looking for this trade. Now, an important thing that I should say, we've been tracking these patterns for quite a number. Look, I've been tracking this for like the whole year. So when you track a pattern for so long and what you're looking for comes up, if you find that you do not have the courage to take the trade or participate in the movement, well then probably trading is not going to be for you. Okay, now remember, when we anticipate it for so long and we're actually waiting and looking for that setup, you need to take action. Okay, if you actually want to become a trader. All right, so I'm being blunt. I apologize if I offend, but basically we're all here because for one reason. We want to take, we're looking for trading opportunities and we want to progress in our trading. So there's a lot of setups today. So let's see who does what and how you feel about it. Okay, just document your feelings. Do you have a diary or something? Just just for yourself, just to see how you're feeling. It'll give you a quick indicator of your feelings that you may have not have known that you had towards trading. All right, gold. We're waiting. We're nearly there. This could get set up this week. Okay, guys. The level where it's at right now, it's not low enough. I need it to drop down into this section, and let's see if we can pull a trade out of that. Okay, let's move to the final one for the week, the ASX 200. Let me zoom out. What was I looking for? I'm interested in that top line. The top line is the one that I'm looking at. And we didn't get there. It may still get up there. If it does, well then I'll be happy to take that trade. If it doesn't, well then I'll just have to wait until I get there. Okay, so and that pretty much wraps up the week. Any questions, guys? Anything that I may have missed that you wanted to comment on that I can help you with? I'm noticing a couple of comments that I missed along the way. Is the US CAD influenced by oil? Yes, probably the US CAD is the most oil-driven currency. Okay, so whenever you get oil announcements or oil news release, it does affect the US CAD significantly. US CAD this week is going to be very volatile as well because we got non-farm payrolls and Canadian job numbers due out simultaneously on the Friday. Okay, so keep an eye out on that for any US CAD traders. Let me bring the data back up on the screen. That's when everything is due to be released, so take note of that. And those times are in my local time, which is Sydney time, Australian Eastern Standard Australian Eastern Standard Time. We're not in daylight savings right now. We're in winter time. So there you have it, guys. Any final questions before we wrap up for the day? No, we're all good. All right, well, have a great trading week, guys. Watch the daily call every morning. It'll get you more acquainted with what's happening with the markets. It gives you an opportunity for you to find charts, to see if you're finding the same charts that I'm finding, and it just keeps things a little bit more interesting. Have a great week. I will talk to you next week on the weekly class, or I'll speak to you tomorrow on the daily call. Bye for now.